one, there are a lot of untrustworthy resellers going to flea markets and just like being aggressive, trashing on the items, get things for absolutely as cheap as possible, being dishonest. There's a lot of aggressive behaviors so that the margin can be as good as possible. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about profit dollars, right? He didn't have to do that, right? But like, for me, that's like, dude, I'm loyal for life.
People go in with a certain set of expectations and they'll judge you based on those expectations.
We take it very seriously, the trust of our customers, because we would not be here without them.
All right, today we're going to talk about something that is in the comments all the time of different reselling videos. Is there such thing as a trustworthy reseller?
Trust is something that can be built up over a number of years, but it's also something that you can lose in a moment's notice. Let's talk about that.
So in a business, you guys are always working on something, trying to improve something, change something. What right now is a problem that you're trying to solve in your business today?
We are getting too much stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a great problem to have. But I think the root of the problem is our sourcing is so strong. Our selling avenues need to be improved, refined, or we need to find partners. So that's currently what we're working on.
Is it just the amount of volume that's coming in, or are you just able to not get through the inventory as quickly as you used to?
I think it's the potential of buys that we could do, the things we're saying no to that we would love to have.
Yeah, so we're getting a ton of extra inventory, and our systems are pretty efficient. So we are always dialing in our systems. We are always dialing in, like, trying to maximize how we're selling on whatnot and Amazon mainly. But yeah, getting those partners in place has been a big one lately.
What kind of inventory are you guys getting right now? What's been the main, like, whether it's category or system, what's been the most inventory you've seen influx recently?
It is still the popular buy list items, our top dollar list on our website. That is what we're still getting thousands of games every week for. But the collections of all the random stuff from NES to Dreamcast to Nintendo Switch, that is starting to add up as well.
Right. So we get multiple collections a week in that, like, I don't know, $2,000 to $10,000 range. Mm-hmm. Those are just shipped to us, and we got to process through those. And then, you know, probably once, twice, 3 times a month, we'll get one over that 10,000 range, and even one around the corner that's going to be in the value range of $250,000. So,
wow.
Like, that's crazy. That's a lot of stuff, and everything else is going to be continuing in the background with buy lists and all that. So our question is, how can we, you know, figure that out to be able to buy all of it all the time and have it be beneficial for us and hopefully for other people.
So what are you doing right now in your systems or processes to help alleviate that problem of getting more inventory in than what you're able to process through? What are some of the things that you're looking at or trying?
Yeah, it's different with every partner that we have, but for instance, items under $10 or the $10 to $25 range that we might not want to list on Amazon anymore for efficiency of time. We are finding partners and figuring out creative solutions to sell directly to them, because even on Whatnot, we can still only sell so fast. And when we have hundreds to thousands of items over that $25 mark, it's important to prioritize those. So as we add more partners, we have to come up with their own efficiencies and strategies to streamline that. Last week, we sent, I believe it was 1,200 games to somebody, but
Wow.
we had to come up with a system with them on what percentage they were paying based on price charting, or if we did a flat amount if it was under a certain price.
Well, your business several years ago was heavily focused on really healthy margins, where it seems like the more that you grow, the more you're shifting more towards scale and efficiency than you are even raw margins on games. And that's where leveraging those partners seems to be a big win.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about profit dollars, right? If our cash flow is like not really an issue, then it's okay to focus most on profit dollars per hour. That being said, we do still have limits and stuff. So it's always that balance of figuring out like what is an acceptable margin, what's the best way to increase profit dollars per hour, and how can we do that? So it's a fun game to play, especially when you have a diverse business with a lot of different outlets of things. But I do think, you're mentioning partners that we have, like the topic of trust does heavily come into play here. So, for somebody that, because we have partners that sell some stuff on eBay for us. We also have these ones you're mentioning that buy games at a certain percentage. What are some of the ways, Sky Guy, that you look for in establishing partners in those areas? Because we need to make sure we can trust them.
Yeah, so the first thing I do is I kind of look in our Discord. Shameless plug to our Discord. Those are people that are grinding, they're hustling, and they've been an established part of our community for, in some cases, years.
Yeah.
So some of these partners that we have, I can just look and see, okay, they've been around for a while. I can see they've been doing deals with other people in our Discord. They have a reputation score, and I know that comfortably I can trust this person. And even just through the Discord, being able to jump on a call with them, you can very quickly tell if somebody's legit after a call and see how your visions kind of align on making a deal. Because how you know somebody is trustworthy is you don't want to do them wrong, and equally they do not want to do you wrong.
What's the longest partnership you guys have had on the selling side at this point? Obviously, you've been in business for a long time, and obviously with the buy list, you're developing more and more partnerships on both the buying and the selling side. But even going back in time, what's been the longest partnership that you've had so far?
I know the answer.
You do?
Michael Cash.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, so that's like I've always bought stuff from him. So from a partnership of buying, it's been a lot of years, like over 10 years. But from the selling, like I've sold my gold and silver to him, but I don't get it very often.
Yeah.
So that's the part of the business that's pretty new. So for like a very replenishable source of a partnership on the selling side, probably like a year and a half, 2 years for our first eBay.
Yes. That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we've got an eBay consignor that we've been working with for about a year and a half or maybe 2 years, and it really came into play when we had the Hobby Shop Iran stuff, if you remember that. We bought out a 50-year-old hobby shop where he had floor-to-ceiling, 5,000 square feet upstairs and downstairs that was full when he closed down, and we bought it in waves, trains, planes, weird stuff that does great on eBay, and our business started shifting more towards video games only, trading cards.
That's where it became interesting because it was almost too diversified to where we had to dial back. That's a separate conversation in itself on over diversifying.
How do you guys work the transactions with that eBay consignor? Is it he pays up front, he pays in the back end? How does that work to where the relationship continue? I mean, to be working with someone in that context for multiple years is obviously there's a lot of things that could go wrong, especially in the more collectible space where things can be really high or really low. What's the structure been like for that?
So Alex set up the systems where we have, for anybody that's consigning, we kind of have a spreadsheet to where they put in the name of the item or the link to the listing, and then what they've priced it at, what they've sold it at, and then the commission split, whatever it is. I think at this point with this consignor that we're talking about, there is so much trust there because he sends payments maybe every week, every other week on stuff
once every other week, I think.
On stuff that sells that we don't really have to check. We just know that we can send them stuff in a big box. They know that it's going to be listed for us. They have a system on their back end to, in their SKU, note who it's from. And then when it sells, that gets added to their sheet on how much they owe.
So there's no upfront transaction that's taking place. You're just sending them inventory and trusting them to be able to manage that.
That's how much trust there is on this one. We don't do that with really many people. Maybe 3 come to mind. Yeah.
So I want to emphasize, like at the beginning of this partnership, we sent just a few things, right?
Yes, there was a
lot of communication. There was like, we need to make sure this stuff's being listed correctly. And he wanted to make sure that we understood that he was going to go above and beyond to make sure everything was maximized as much as possible, while also like being sure that it sells, which is exactly how we like to do business.
We didn't want to keep sending him stuff, even if it's a good commission split, if it means it's not in his wheelhouse or it's stuff he is really stressing out over. And that's where I think a lot of the trust is built as well, is like, we don't want you to die over this stuff.
Yeah. Has there been any items in that partnership where you've sent it to him and it hasn't gone well for him and he's communicated that back to you? What's that been like?
There's been maybe a little bit of like, this batch or that type of stuff, like with some of the trains, maybe like it's just all bad condition or doesn't work.
Or it's I just know this is going to sit for about 6 months. So if you guys can hold off on sending more of that stuff, that would be great.
Yep. And we do still need to check, like, hey, we're going to send, 3 50-pound boxes. You good for that and stuff like that. But yeah, the topic of trust, it's interesting because I try to like reverse engineer, for us, it's very important that we establish trust with the people that we buy from and the people that we sell to.
Yes.
Immensely important. And I also am constantly trying to find people that I can trust. And what are some of the things that they've done to earn my trust?
Yeah. What are the characteristics of trust within reselling?
Yeah. So for me, honestly, like one of the most important things to earn my trust is like establishing the fact that you will buy the thing and pay quickly and do that consistently.
Yeah.
Right? Like
a proven track record
so simple.
Helps a lot. Like even if I've been doing this for 6 months, but you've been consistent for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking for that. So like if we are doing a consignment deal like that, it's like the stuff sells, they pay on time, they do it quickly, and then they do it again. And then it's just like, but also like, do you have a real business? Can I see like your eBay store? Can I see your sales history? There's things like that I think are pretty important for like us to make sure this is the right type of person. So
yeah, another example of that is another shout out to Super E in the Discord. This is somebody who joined the Discord with like $100-$200 to start reselling and is now absolutely killing it. I remember seeing a screenshot maybe 6 months to a year after they joined with an eBay sales screenshot of like 22,000 in the last 30 days.
Wow.
I was like, wow. And that was over a year ago. So they're really, really doing well. And that's one person now that, we've seen that he has the hustle. He is going above and beyond to learn. And this is somebody that would definitely make sense for us to do a partnership with. And now we do.
Well, and there's trust on the sourcing side, which is important, but then also the very nature of a reselling business is that you're getting product in the hand of customers. So having trust with the customer side, I mean, Chase, you've been in business for over a decade and have done 100,000 plus transactions in your lifetime in the business. I mean, you go on any of your platforms, you look at your Amazon, your eBay, your whatnot, it's 4.99, 4.97, like it's 5.0. Like you have a high customer rating across all of your platforms. One, is there a huge difference as a seller from having a 4.1 to a 4.9, and how have you been able to maintain such a high rating with customers?
Yeah, I do think it's platform contingent for, a 4.0 or a 90% or above on Amazon can be considered good, right, for feedback. And then on whatnot, you really want to be 4.9 or above. Which is out of 5 stars, which is really tough. But a 5.0 is very tough to establish and keep. And we were at 4.9 for a while, but for the last probably
it was 4.99. But yeah, we're at 5 now, and we have been for a good bit.
Right, and that's so. Here's what's important on the selling end. Like we sell a lot of retro games where things are faked very frequently.
Yes.
So it's so important to know what, for us at least, what we're selling, that it is authentic, that it is, clean, tested, whatever. And if it's not clean and tested, we are disclosing that. We're always being very clear with everything. And then even still, like if we make mistakes, Matt looks at the whatnot messages every day. And mistakes do happen, things do happen, and 9 times out of 10, there's something we can do to correct it. We forgot to include something in the shipment, whatever it is, and we'll correct it and try to go above and beyond.
I was just about to say, it's always an above and beyond thing where we made a $25 mistake, here's a $40 solution, if we were to put it in numbers, so.
Yes, absolutely. So we take it very seriously, the trust of our customers, because we would not be here without them.
Yeah.
And the community of it all, and like if we can connect with the right person and gain their trust, like real full trust, go above and beyond. Like we messed up, we go above and beyond. I think about like Chick-fil-A, man.
Yeah.
At least our Chick-fil-A here, if they mess something up, you're like, sweet.
Yeah. They're
Like it's a free
truck.
meal, it's a brownie, it's a cookie,
dude,
it's everything.
I'm like, you could mess up every time I come here. This is great.
And then I think the X factor that we've done is use gift tags.
Yeah.
And
so what is that,
just
Sky Guy?
Yeah, so gift tag, one of our great friends, David, has created this amazing product where essentially it's just a sticker with a QR code where you scan it, you can record a video for your customers or for people that you are working with, and then they scan it when you send it to them, and they get to see that video, and you can even attach like money to it or coupons or things.
Card,
so
Venmo,
it is
That's
super.
sweet.
It's incredible, and it's growing. I love hearing all about it. But one of the things we do is we just do a video and explain the mistake.
Yeah.
We acknowledge the mistake and say, here's what we're doing to fix it. And just that personal touch helps so much as well.
Well, you mentioned like the Chick-fil-A model in the restaurants is because I feel like a lot of times in business, whether it's food or reselling or even like a retail space, is people go in with a certain set of expectations and they'll judge you based on those expectations. Where like if you go into a McDonald's and your order doesn't come out right, there's a little part of you that's like,
that's McDonald's.
Kind of expected that, right? If you go into a Ruth's Chris steakhouse and your steak comes out completely burnt or completely raw, there's a higher level of expectation because there's a higher level of investment. There's a brand that's been built. And I feel like for you guys have built a brand of being the collector's choice for some. Is like, especially on Whatnot of, hey, you guys are setting clear expectations. Like you said, our descriptions are going to be accurate. We're not going to say something is minty fresh if it's got a giant gash down the side.
Correct.
You know,
Yes,
like
it's the consistency that really helps with that kind of thing.
yeah. So what are some of the things just practical that, especially in the collectible space, what are the things that you guys are making sure, checking? You talked about authenticity to make sure that those people that come in with high expectations have those expectations not only met, but exceeded time after time after time.
Yeah. Do you want to go into the Pokemon authenticity stuff? We sell a
Yes.
lot of Pokemon games,
So-
cards, everything.
So this helps us on the buying and selling end for transparency, but a lot of people sell us Pokemon stuff. We sell a lot of Pokemon stuff. How can we ease the tension on that transaction? So we created the Pokemon Authenticity Guide, which is every single Pokemon game front and back with the board and explanations of what makes it authentic and what to look out for in fakes. And that extends beyond just Pokemon games. It kind of applies to N64, all the cartridge handhelds plus N64 as a whole. So that's establishing, hey, we really know our stuff so much that we made the guide for it that store owners train their employees with. Like we have, I mean, I know 3 off the top of my head where they go, yeah, we have this link saved on everyone's computer. So if they're not sure, which it makes me smile anytime I hear that, but
Well, that's the thing that's funny is like, because you guys have had so many, I mean, you guys have sold thousands and thousands and thousands of Pokemon games, which means you've had hundreds, if not thousands, of fakes that have come through your guys' business.
I have a box of fakes, just fake Pokemon stuff that I save because sometimes like fakes can look completely different.
Yeah.
Just funny tangent, but I do save them because I think it's fun. But sometimes we get messages from people that say, hey, I want to send you this thing, but I don't know if it's authentic. It is worth my time to help them through that and to show them, hey, this one's fake or this one is good to go, because it's only going to build the trust there, because I don't want them sending us a game that they're expecting to be paid $200 for. And then for me to go, sorry, it's fake, you're out of luck, when they might be able to go return that to the pawn shop they bought it from or the game store they bought it from, who might not have done the work ahead of time to note that it was fake.
Yeah. You guys have taken something where I think a lot of resellers would have gotten, let's say they've gotten a fake game or something like that. They would have gotten frustrated. It would have ruined their week because they may have, whether they already closed the transaction or now they lost that transaction or they have broken trust with that customer. You guys have been able to use that as an educational piece, which then adds value to your customers. Instead of saying, oh man, another fake, throw it in the box. You're like, hey, how do we help this from stopping and happening to other people?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you've built a trust equity, because there's no denying that sometimes you guys will be able to sell things at a premium, especially really, really nice things to collectors, because collectors know every single game that comes through your guys' business is being checked for authenticity. It's being checked for condition, so that when Chase says, hey, this is in minty fresh shape, there's no question it's in minty fresh shape, because he's seen thousands of that game. And when he says this is one of the nicest copies I've seen, it's not a sales tactic. You're staking your reputation on that.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways. And that's a big deal.
And I think having bought as much as we have at this point, when we kind of assign something a condition or call something minty fresh, it's not just because it's the cleanest thing of the bunch. It's because we have seen dozens to hundreds of this item or similar items, to where we kind of have this chart in our head of what true condition is on a bad to average to very, very good scale. And like you're saying, I think a lot of people really value that. And that's why we have customers that spend, 5 figures with us.
Yeah.
Like there's people that spend thousands of dollars in one of our whatnot auctions. And it's not just once, it's repeated times, because they've had a good experience purchasing expensive stuff with us.
Yeah, so I want to take this back to that initial question of, is a trustworthy reseller an oxymoron, or is that possible?
Why do you think there's so much animosity even around that question? What are some of the misconceptions that people have around trustworthiness and resellers? Why do they even get associated that way?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. One, there are a lot of untrustworthy resellers. Absolutely. Like I think of those that are going to flea markets and just like being aggressive, trashing on the items, trying to get things for absolutely as cheap as possible, being dishonest to the person selling stuff to them. Just anything like that comes to mind. There's a lot of aggressive behaviors, so even just kindness.
I think there's just a connotation to the word reseller because of that. I know I'm kind of see a pattern here. You're much more likely to leave a negative review than a positive one. So if you hear one negative thing about a certain group or a certain title, you might be more inclined to only think of that negative in the sea of potential positives.
Yeah, and I think about when you're a reseller and you're buying, like in general, I think the mindset and often appropriate mindset is like, get this for as cheap as possible so that the margin can be as good as possible. But I do think if that mindset can shift a little bit to like, hey, I'm in this thing for the long haul. And this is a mindset that I have shifted in business over the last number of years. But like, if this is this person wants $20 for this new 3DS XL, and you can sell it for $200, maybe you should consider paying more. And like that's one of those things where it's like, it is up to you for how you want to approach that with an asking price. But if you're the person that pays more, and that person has a basement full of games,
they didn't bring out all the games for that 3DS.
Yes.
Now you are going to get them. And
also they're going to tell their friends about it, and it's going to stick with them. They're going to have a good feeling about that experience, that transaction. And it might be the only thing that ever comes of it, and that's just the right way to treat somebody. But one thing that we've learned is that going above and beyond is something that sticks with somebody and can almost gain you like trust for life. That being said, you can still lose it. But I think about Michael, who I've sold silver and gold to, and I can think of 2 or 3 times where he waited, he got everything situated, paid me his super fair rates that we agreed upon, and then got home and said, hey, I melted it down. It ended up being even more than I thought it was. Here's $180 extra through Venmo.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that, right? But like, for me, that's like, dude, I'm loyal for life.
Yeah, that stuff sticks with you
It
as a
sticks
buyer
with you.
or a seller.
Yes.
Like even in garage sales, I think people look at garage sales, and there's such an interesting tension in this business and in this market, just because people have attached morality to business practices, which is a little bit like, there's a right way to operate and conduct yourself as a business person is to be kind, is to be honest. Like those are important things. But I think a lot of people they'll forget the fact that like there's times where something will be marked at $2 and it's worth 20 and you'll buy it for $2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where it's marked at $2 and it's worth 20 and you'll give them 5 or 10 or something else and try to, because you'll never know when those relationships will circle back around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to be kind. But also there's times in your business where you're going to get a good deal. And that's not a bad thing. Like you're not a bad person if you get a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when you get a good deal, you can then help pass that on to another seller or another buyer, or people forget that there is a service aspect that comes in the reselling space. Whether it's done on a macro scale, people look at like a Walmart or something like that, where they are acquiring goods from a distributor, and then they are making those goods available in your local community so that we can leave from this place right now, go 5 minutes down the road and get a good or product that we want without having to build it, shape it, farm it, grow it, whatever it is ourselves.
Yep.
But there's also ways to do that in a way where it keeps people coming back.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, there's been times where you've given something, you've paid up for something at a garage sale and it's never circled back around. But there's also times where you've paid up at a garage sale and that next summer when you go back by that garage sale, they're like,
oh, I remember you.
You're the video game people, right? Oh, we found this whole box in the basement.
Yeah. Or
and it comes back around.
Or like, you might get a text 2 years later from a lady that has the GameCube you asked for.
That's happened. That's insane.
Yeah. Skylar gets lots of texts from old ladies.
My wife loves it. She thinks it's so funny.
So I'm curious with trust, what is a way that a reseller, if they're not careful, can break trust? Let's specifically go with a customer. So we'll talk about partnerships more in a little bit, but like specifically when you're dealing with end customers, what are some of the hazards or trip falls that can happen with a reseller or an entrepreneur when they're doing those transactions?
I think a very easy one that people miss, and sometimes even we can slip up at, it's just good communication. Sometimes you don't know how somebody is going to take a lack of communication. Some customers are understanding that, oh, I see that they're very busy with stuff, but sometimes it's like, oh, they really don't want what I have. I'm going to go crawl in a hole now, and I'm very angry at them for not wanting what I have. There, you can get both. So just good communication and making your intentions very straightforward is very important.
Yeah, and I think another one on the selling end is just simply overpromise, underdeliver. So if a customer
opposite.
No, I'm saying that's how you lose trust.
Oh yeah.
So
sorry. That's so contrary to what we say.
I know. So what we say to gain trust is underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, but if on the inverse of that, if you overpromise, underdeliver,
if you try to squeeze every penny out of every transaction and sales minute,
we were to say this is the best condition game we have ever seen. It's going to be an upgrade for your collection. They get it, and it's a downgrade. We've lost all credibility to that person.
Right, and if that happens, and sometimes it happens by complete mistake, that is that moment where you can either go above and beyond and gain their trust for life. You can just meet expectations and kind of keep them as a regular customer, or you can just say, nah, that's your fault. You should have seen that or whatever. And we try to give customers benefit of the doubt. We try to treat all of them with kindness. Assume
customer is always right? Like there's the reason that saying exists. There's only so much we can do to mitigate that on our end, where customers might be wrong, but we still might serve them because we still want their business. And if we don't, there's also the risk of they're going to tell their friends. And it doesn't matter where the truth may be.
Well, that's where Chick-fil-A has shined. When people talk the most about Chick-fil-A, they talk about the times they've messed up. Which, how good of a business do you have to be to where your best promotion is talking about your worst failures? Like, some of Chick-fil-A's were like, anytime we talk about Chick-fil-A, why it's so amazing, it's because they messed something up, but they went so far to make it right that has stuck in our mind, and now we associate them as a better organization because of it.
Yeah.
Where we just live in a defensive world where if someone gets wronged or you wrong someone, it's become this debate thing versus like, hey, how do we restore something here and build something better because of it? Because I feel like that's the thing that separates even you guys from other people in your space, is like on Whatnot. there's been times, like you said, that where something goes wrong. It's not a, hey, well, let's nitpick back and forth, or you send me photos, or you send this photos, which then becomes just a pit of profit loss in your business. Not only profit loss financially with hours and stuff like that, but also just reputation. And instead you're saying, hey, you know what? We messed up. Let's make it right. And identifying those opportunities where you're not doing that every time to where someone can take advantage of you, but you're going to do it so that you can steward the reputation of what your business is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Chase, if you were to describe the reputation of your business across eBay, Amazon, whatnot in the community, what would you think that people would say would be consistent about your business in reputation?
So my hope is that people could see our business and say that they have done business with integrity consistently over a long period of time. They buy and sell with excellence. They pay fair, they sell fair, and you can trust in the product that you're getting. That is my hope, and that is what I strive for, and that is something that constantly takes refining and getting it right. Sometimes you got to pay more. Sometimes you buy something at 75% for a big collection and realize, oh yeah, I actually lost money on that, and that's not sustainable for the long term because of all these bills and things that are just reality to maximize a collection. So yeah, that's the answer, and it's something we're always striving for.
We get reviews on Whatnot of, they packaged it so well, I now have enough bubble wrap to sell some of my own stuff. Like that's one of the things that we get that makes me happy to see, just how well we package stuff, even at that level when we're sending it. It's not just the quality of the item, it's how it gets there is very valuable to people as well. And I think that's something we take a lot of pride in too.
And I'll circle back real quick to the customer is always right statement. I think I don't know if that's true, right? But I think the heart behind that statement is basically the customer is always somebody who is worthy of serving.
Yes. To give them the benefit of the doubt first.
That we believe has inherent value. And even if they're coming at us like guns blaring, we've sold stuff on Whatnot. In the title with asterisk, it says box only. GBA game, and then in the description it says box only, and the customer literally comes and says, hey, I bought this, it was supposed to be complete, you guys said it was complete, the description said it was complete, and we're like,
there's 3 things on screen that say box only.
I don't know if that customer is right there, but they are worthy of being served.
Yes,
there absolutely was a misunderstanding here. We tried to be clear. Something went wrong in that process, and we shouldn't come back at them combative, but try to come to a place of understanding and service. And
another communication thing is sometimes people just aren't the best communicators, and we may get somebody that sends a very angry message, but is actually a super, at least to us, but they're a super understanding person and ends up being a long-term customer because we just treated them right. Yep. Even though we might have interpreted what they sent as very hostile. And
there's going to be times where for your business, it's okay that the customer's always right statement is so interesting to me, because there's times where you need to fire customers. Like that's just a reality. It's like there's times where it's okay to maintain the integrity and the culture that your business represents. There's times where you need to say, hey, I'm going to give my best, not only on the first step, but the second step and third step. But after a while, if I'm realizing this customer is not adding business to our organization beyond a transaction, we might need to redefine what our customer is. Because there's there's one of the things I love about your guys' Whatnot is you guys are not the bargain bin, everything is cheap, bundle as much as you want. You guys have built a customer base of people who want to do honest transactions quickly and consistently. And that's a good customer base to have. I've been to so many, whether it's pawn shops or game stores, where they're just trying to be the bottom dollar seller for everything. And you will attract what you are as a business. And if you're just trying to squeeze every dime and every dollar out of every person, you're attracting customers that are trying to squeeze every dime and every dollar out of every purchase. That's not going to be, one, a fun business to be a part of, but two, it's not going to be the most sustainable business to be a part of. Is you want to have customers that align with the value that you're delivering.
I love that. I think that's really great. I think to ask yourself the question, what type of customer do I want to attract? And if that's the customer I want to attract, what do I need to become? It's kind of like if you're pursuing somebody in marriage, you want this I wanted a beautiful wife who is all these things. And, when I was 18, I was not worthy of that person.
Yeah.
When I was 17, just like I had a lot of growing to do. And I think this is true.
Fun fact. I was there when Chase came to pick up Alyssa for their first date. I was hanging out with Alyssa's little brother.
That's crazy. And I barely knew you at that point.
Yeah. I was just
Barely.
like, oh, I recognize him from
Who knew?
church. And
That was an iconic day in my life. And you were there.
yeah, I was there all along.
Yeah. But it's important to identify who do I want to be, who do I want to attract as a customer, and what are the things that they value. And also on the selling side too, like what kind of people do I want to buy from? Who do I want my sourcing partnerships to be, and what's valuable to them? And like you said, things that for you as a buyer, you want, or a seller, you want to be working with people that pay on time, that are honest, that operate with integrity themselves. And so you're going to operate your business in that same manner so that you attract them, because those are the partnerships that you want. You are not looking for every sale at every opportunity and every buy at every opportunity. You're looking for the right sales, the right buys, the right partnerships that you can build long, trustworthy relationships.
I mean, the perfect example is we're buying this, collection worth, the $250,000 mark, because the person has a lot of integrity, has jumped on phone calls with us and has talked a great deal. There's another seller with a very similar collection that we might not do a deal with, even though they want a little bit less, because we're not 100% certain on their end that there's this trust or this integrity there. So there's a lot of times where we are saying no to deals, not because it's bad stuff or a bad deal, but for that reason exactly.
Yeah. So Chase, wrapping up here, what would you say to a business owner that is maybe a couple years even before where you're at right now? What is a business owner, what can they do right now to begin building a higher trust culture in their business at every aspect, whether it's in the sourcing or in the selling? What can they begin to do right now in their business to build a stronger trust culture?
The number one thing that is important is find ways that you can separate yourself, that you can stand out, that you can make the right connections. So just very practically speaking, you buy a collection for $250, it ends up being worth a lot more. Give them an extra $25, make yourself stand out, leave business cards, and do business in a way that you want people to talk about it. That's all I got.
Mic drop.
It's pretty good. All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below, what does trust look like for you in your business? What's a business that you've worked with that has been exceptional in demonstrating trust? And maybe what's an experience where it's left you wanting a little bit more? We'd love to hear about your stories. Comment down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on the Reseller Room.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Chase after the right price.